Crusaders and Chiefs, folks. Semi-final number 1 is done. 20 points to 7. The expected result with the Crusaders playoff run at home going on. But maybe the manner of things not quite what we would have expected. We'll go through some key events and stats and you guys can let me know your thoughts. But ultimately, in a word, Crusaders' defence holds very firm and the Chiefs cannot take many of their chances that they did create. So props to the Crusaders for their relentless defence. And the Chiefs, as just seen Brad Weber's post-match, will certainly look back at the review and be hanging their heads with a few moments. But anyway, pretty bad conditions, a lot of wind, a lot of rain, didn't help some of the ball handling and whatnot. So that's maybe part of the reason for the low scoreline, but all these points are scored in the first half. And the weather did seem to actually kind of get a little bit better in the second half, but sometimes it's hard to tell. Credit to the fans who got out there for that one, because that's not always easy to get out there in those kind of bad conditions. But Jacobs, they get pinged at the breakdown early. Bawonga knocks over a penalty, 3-0. Crusaders, and it gets worse for the Chiefs because Tupaia gets a yellow card for a high shot on Matera, whose name is on the board. But for this one, Matera is slipping, and Tupaia looks pretty passive, but he still gets yellow carded. Berry doesn't mitigate it down to a penalty, because he says there's contact to the head. I think the TMO thought it was a penalty, because like I say, Matera is really like slipping, his knees pretty much on the ground, and Tupaia isn't really moving forward, not much to my eye anyway, but Nick Berry's not having that. He overrules TMO and gives Tupaia a yellow. Crusaders knock over another 3, 6-0 lead, extra man. Is it going to go from bad to worse for the Chiefs? Well, not really, because despite the yellow card, they actually put on a pretty decent attack. Leading to the point where Soakula, who's been devastating this year and very effective at getting over the ball, or getting the ball over the line, he gets the ball over the line, but he can't get the bloody thing on the ground, can he? Sevu Reece, last-ditch little kind of tap on the ball, manages to dislodge it, so it's a knock-on by the Chiefs. It was an on-field try. Soakula probably should have scored that one. You got to give credit to Reece for the desperation attempt to save it. And that's maybe like a little microcosm of this game in itself. Like the Crusaders just managing to hold on, but they do it. So, yeah, that one missed opportunity for the Chiefs big time. Chiefs put on a heap of pressure again. Crusaders get a yellow card warning. The Crusaders have to keep scrumming. Their scrum's under pressure. It's giving away penalties. The Crusaders defend for like 11 phases. Matera gets a yellow card. He's just the one that gives away the penalty. Like, you know, it's a team thing, so he's the one that gives away the next one. So the Crusaders go down a man, and the Chiefs have managed to kill off their own yellow card just by the clock being killed with all these scrums and relentless phases. So it's all about the Chiefs at this point, but where do the Chiefs end up? Over a goal line, but over their own bloody goal line, because they turn the ball over. Reece hacks it downfield, and Weber has to kind of clean up with Will Jordan hot on his heels. So, yeah, man, it's just so Crusaders defense, isn't it? They turn a desperate situation into gold. And the Chiefs, yeah, big missed opportunity. Didn't take any points, couldn't score. And then from that, literally from that 5-metre scrum, Cullen Grace gets the first try. This was literally the Chiefs down the other end knocking on the door, and it ends up in a Crusaders try. Like, goes the blind side. He doesn't make the mistake when he gets over the line. He doesn't even get his body on the line. He just reaches out. Clinical is what you can say for the Crusaders, not what you can say for the Chiefs. So the TMO had to check that one, but it's all good. And 13-0. The Chiefs did finally break through. Kind of not too long in reply. Ta'avao managed to go through. That was just kind of a one-on-one missed tackle, which there wasn't that many of from the Crusaders. I think it was Bauer. Missed Ta'avao, and that was kind of one that I think was not the standard in this game. Like, that wasn't the kind of tackle the Crusaders guys were missing. So Ta'avao managed to hit back, which was kind of much needed. I mean, Jonah Lovett had a good run in the build-up, but if the Chiefs didn't score there, man, you'd have your head in your hands. So they at least got those points. Ta'avao breaks the tackle, 13-7, back to game on. Crusaders do have a chance at the end of the yellow card to opt for 3, but they don't. They opt for a line out, and their line out stuffs up. So it's a missed opportunity for the Crusaders. The Crusaders weren't perfect in this one, certainly not. Their line out pretty poor, but defensively you can't say much negatively about them. So that yellow card period for the Crusaders finishes 7 points apiece. Matera's back on, but not for long, because he gets his second yellow card. It's a shoulder into Gats. It's also kind of pretty passive, but I did think it looked pretty similar to the Tupaia one. So kind of, at the lower end of a yellow card, but it's still a yellow card. Like if the Tupaia one's a yellow card, I think that has to be a yellow card. It did seem like Nick Berry was trying to talk himself out of it, because like the TMO at one point was also like, oh, he's pretty passive, low impact or something. But Berry then overruled him and then said, no, it's enough for a yellow, which means it's a red. So the Crusaders go down for 20 minutes to 14 men. Do they concede any points during that time? No, they do not. Crusaders, man, they are brutal. As I said, I'm just going to keep heaping the praise on them, man. They were really, really good in this regard. But equally, I mean, the Chiefs were a bit poor. Maybe they were forcing it because they weren't getting any pay from what they were doing. But anyway, Chiefs' execution just not there, Crusaders were sharper. And despite the fact that Matera has gone off on 32, the next try comes on 35. So Crusaders get a red card, still manage to score a try. Richie with the line break and the offload gets it to Bauer, who has a big carry to make up for that missed tackle earlier. Crusaders get the ball wide, and Grace goes over for his second, pretty much unopposed. So 20 points to 7. End of the first half, the Chiefs go like 14 phases. They look to just be about to crack the Crusaders' defence out wide, but Leicester Fainga'anuku gets an intercept. So half-time is 20 points to 7. Also the full-time score. Chiefs have had more possession, but the Crusaders have had 3 clean breaks to 1. So less ball, but more effective with it. The Crusaders have made 134 tackles to the Chiefs' 45. But the Chiefs are tackling at 80%, which is pretty poor, especially in a semi-final. The Crusaders are at 90, which is pretty bloody good. Run meters are 119 to 182. So the Chiefs have got more, but they've certainly had a lot more ball. Second half, man, there's no score. The Chiefs do get a 5-metre scrum, so Cullen knocks it on. Not really his kind of best day at the office. They're just not really clicking. I mean, you got to give credit to Bryn Hall, though, for the desperation kind of tackle to put him off his game. Red card comes over. As I said, no points conceded during that. Chiefs did finally legit get a proper overlap. There's space, one pass out wide, and it's a guaranteed try. And Quinten, who's generally looked pretty sharp, chucks the ball miles too big over the touchline. Like, just pass to your man, find your man, and it's a guaranteed score. Many of us could have run that one in if we were able to catch it, but nah, that just pass wasn't there. Like, unbelievable. Chiefs just refused to opt for the threes. Crusaders' penalty count got pretty high, but their defence just continued to hold. And the Chiefs just continued to make errors under pressure, but still errors nonetheless. Crusaders did miss a penalty on 70 minutes, but yeah, man, from 70 minutes, you knew that the Chiefs weren't coming back in this one. If they'd only scored 7 points in the previous 70, they weren't going to overcome this lead, and sure enough, the Crusaders were able to hang on, even exert a bit of pressure towards the end of the game. So, yep, the Crusaders will be in the final, either at Eden Park against the Blues or at home against the Brumbies next week. Run meters finished 250 to 376. The Chiefs with more. Chiefs have got 65% possession, and they struggle. I don't know, man. I'm shaking my head at this one for the Chiefs. They'll be shaking their heads as well. But as I said, wait till you get to the defensive numbers. Clean breaks is 4-2 to the Crusaders. Penalties conceded 13-8 with the Crusaders having more, but not as lopsided as it was at one point. Tackles 254 at 92% is absolutely elite level. 114 by the Chiefs at 88%. They did bring it up in terms of number and percentage in that second half. Turnovers won 8-3 to the Crusaders. Absolutely brutal. Crusaders, if I was going to be critical, as I said, the line-out struggled a wee bit, but the conditions weren't the best. Will Jordan still has 6 defenders beaten to 67 run meters, despite not getting a try for a change. Taukei'aho had 43 run meters and 4 defenders beaten. His ball carrying still pretty good. Christie, 29 out of 31 tackles. That's a crazy number. Scotty Barrett, 24 out of 25. I think Grace had 24 as well. a bunch of guys had a bunch of tackles in this game for the Crusaders. So Akula had 10 from 10. But, yeah, he turned the ball over a few times. So, yeah, man. And that's all without Sam Whitelock, who was a late scratching due to a thumb injury, I think it was. So, yeah, man. The Crusaders are a team for the pressure kind of clutch games. When you need a team to perform under pressure, the Crusaders are pretty much that team. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in the next one tomorrow. But someone is going to beat the Crusaders. We'll see how things go. You guys let me know your thoughts on this game. And, yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.